I brought this up with the children because I suspect for Mary and Joseph, this was a really wonderful day for them. Their first child, presenting him in the temple, that sort of stuff. And I suspect it really was a day of some joy for them. But even as I was thinking about that, I was also thinking, well, this idea of presenting your first child, especially a male child, it was a custom of the day, a custom of the law. It was something you were expected to do. And I was just wondering if there was something in that for us that might be helpful. This word custom, maybe you would remember it last week. It showed up in the gospel reading as well. We talked about the story where Jesus went to Nazareth to sort of reveal, to begin his ministry. And the way Luke wrote it, he said, Jesus went to the synagogue as was his custom. He went to church. In other words, it was his custom to go week after week after week, something that many of you do on a Sunday morning. It doesn't matter what else is going on. No, it's Sunday morning. That's what I do. Get up, we get dressed, and we go to church. It's your custom. But does not the word custom sort of imply ordinary, ho-hum? And I think that might have been true, not of Mary and Joseph. I don't think they thought this day was ordinary and ho-hum, but I'm pretty sure the priest that was helping them thought it was ordinary and ho-hum. Let me explain to you how this would have looked. Mary and Joseph would have gotten to the temple, and they would have gone into this big area called the Court of the Gentiles. And what they would have done there is at least one thing, maybe two. The thing they would have had to have done probably was buy the 2 pigeons that were going to be sacrificed as part of this little ritual. But depending on what kind of money they had, they might have actually had to exchange Roman money that is with Caesar's likeness on it, for other money so that they could use it, because you weren't allowed to use Roman money in temple dealings. So maybe Joseph goes in, and you need to picture, this might have looked a bit like a big marketplace, lots of people around. So they might have gone to the money changers, but then they would have gone and they would have bought these 2 little pigeons, and then they would have gone into the next part of the temple where only Jews could go. And as they went in, there would have been all this other stuff going on. And again, these would have been more religious things. And so Mary and Joseph maybe even got in a line to present their child. So it's likely that a priest was just there, the parents and the kids coming up, and they would say the prayers and sacrifice the pigeons, and you can just picture this priest going, next, that sort of thing. And it just might have been kind of ho-hum. It's this routine, if you can get it in your head, that makes Simeon and Anna really stand out. Because, again, it might have been a wonderful day regardless for Mary and Joseph. But for anybody else was around, this ordinary thing became something a bit amazing, to have Simeon and Anna offer these blessings and these pronouncements about the child. But I got thinking about this ordinary, and invite you to think about it too. I got thinking about my church attendance over all the years. I was never the guy that, went to college and then decided, well, I'm not going to go to church anymore, and then came back later. I always went to church. And I looked it up, did a little math, and I'm pretty sure that I have been to Sunday church, some church, for about 3,500 times in my lifetime. And if you were to ask me, well, that's amazing, tell me about all 3,500 services. Of course, I could not do it for you. So many of them were just rather ordinary, and they just kind of went out of my mind. Certainly, I can tell you stories of some of those Sundays that were special, but a whole lot of them, if you were going to make a movie of my life, you would not include most of those Sundays in the film. Does that mean they don't have any value? Does that mean that Mary and Joseph, if there had been nothing special, if Simeon and Anna hadn't shown up, does it mean that what they did was, ho-hum, you do it, you don't do it, who cares? No, I don't think that is the case. And let me offer you two reasons why you and I need to be engaged, if you will, in the ordinary, whether that is coming to Mass or praying or reading our Bible or some religious ordinary thing. Because the first reason is you just don't know. It may be that one time when Simeon and Anna will show up, if you will. In other words, I hope many of you have stories. I hope all of you have a story of you came to Mass and maybe you were not expecting anything, but God did seem to show up. There was a presence in the Mass that you felt. You wouldn't have felt that if you had not chosen to come that week. The other reason, this idea of knowing that God might show up, if you will, you might sense God's important, but maybe the better reason is simply the fact that I believe that all that ordinary stuff is actually necessary in order to have the moments, maybe the few moments, where our faith really matters. If you allow me two analogies to see if I can make that last point clear. For those of you who don't know me well, you already are thinking, he owns a Tigger? And I will also point out to you that I know this as a fact, that since 1978, I have read 227,454 pages in books that I have read. Yeah, it's just weird. I keep track of it. I have a list of every book I have ever read since I was midway through college. There's a lot of long story behind that, but it's interesting if I go back and look at that big long list of all those books. There are titles where I will look at that book and I remember reading that book. That was amazing. And there are also a reasonable number of books on that list I cannot remember reading, nor can I tell you anything about it. It's just a title. Was it a waste of my time to have read it, that I don't remember it now? I don't think so. Because truthfully, I really think that all those books benefited me at the time I read them. And in some way, all those pages, all that information, whether it was entertaining books or whether it was teaching me something, I believe all of it formed my character in some way. All those ordinary books I read, in other words, mattered. Even though I can't now go back and look and say, to all the books, that was the most amazing book. That was the most amazing book. I can't quite do that. To take a different analogy, some of you know that when I was in seminary up in the New England area, I got a chance to do some hiking and climbing of those mountains in wintertime. As we got better at it, the days were longer. We tried to do more things. And so a day might be 10 hours long, 12 maybe. And if you think about it, you start hiking, climbing for 12 hours, you're taking a whole lot of steps. You are seeing a whole lot of stuff. And some of it was, of course, quite beautiful. But there is a whole lot of it never really, if you will, stuck in my head. I remember one particular day, I cannot tell you the name of the mountain that we climbed. What I remember about the day was that we got up this thing and we came down, and again, I don't remember anything about that. I don't remember if the climb was hard, steep, easy. I don't remember any of that. What I do remember is right near the end, as we were coming back towards the car, we ran into a bit of a river, kind of a smallish river that was frozen over. But the thing that was amazing about this was you've all seen rapids, and this river looked like frozen rapids. If you've seen with the kids the Disney movie Frozen, it looked like what happened was this river was in full flow, rapids, water bouncing all over the place, and someone came and instantly froze it. It was one of the most remarkable things I'd ever seen. And I would never have seen it if I had not slogged through the walking and the climbing to get up to the top of the mountain and then coming back down. All the ordinary was necessary to get to see that one sight. I tell you all this by simply trying to encourage you that your Mass attendance, your reading of your Bible, your prayer, it all matters. And so maybe it is entirely possible that some Sunday you kind of wake up and you think, it's going to be a bit of a hassle to go to church today. You should go anyway. And if you're thinking, well, my prayer time hasn't been very good lately, well, you should pray anyway. And if you are reading your Bible and it just feels like it's the same old stuff, you and I should keep reading it anyway. Because who knows? Maybe at Mass or in our prayer or in a time of reading our Bible, God will speak to us. He'll show up, just like he did that day in the temple. God showed up to Mary and Joseph in the form of these two people, Simeon and Anna.